top 10 Super Bowls of all time. Before we get started, I do have just a couple of honorable mentions that I just felt too bad leaving out. One of the honorable mentions, Super Bowl 42, when the Giants defeated the Patriots, undefeated New England Patriots. It felt like it was going to finally be a perfect season. It was going to be the 72 Dolphins being topped. Randy Moss, Tom Brady, couldn't be done. Spags, that defensive coordinator, man, the defensive line got pressure, defeated Tom Brady. Honorable mention number 2, Super Bowl 47, the Baltimore Ravens defeating the San Francisco 49ers, the Harbaugh Bowl, the blackout in New Orleans. Baltimore's running away with the football game. The power goes out. What the hell is that all about? San Francisco gets life. Colin Kaepernick played an incredible football game. He really was a revelation that season. They come back, but ultimately, Ray Lewis and that Baltimore defense gets the 4th down stop at the goal line to win the Super Bowl. Last honorable mention, Super Bowl 34, the St. Louis Rams defeating the Tennessee Titans 23-16, 1 yard shy the Tennessee Titans were from winning the Super Bowl. But that was it, and Kurt Warner and the Rams, the greatest show on turf, got their Lombardi trophy. I am making my list basically on what I thought was the most entertaining and riveting Super Bowl start to finish. Please, guys, put your list in the comments below. We want to have a discussion. Tell me how wrong I am in the comments, but more importantly, more fun than that, give me your top 10 list and I'll be in the comments talking about it with you. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Number 10 on my top 10 Super Bowls of all time. Ryan, cover your ears. Super Bowl 25. The New York Giants defeated the Buffalo Bills 20-19. The game where the infamous words "wide right" became seared into the nightmares of every Buffalo fan after Scott Norwood missed a would-be 47 game-winning yard field goal. The Giants defense, led by defensive coordinator Bill Belichick, controlled the game and time of possession. The Giants had the ball 40 minutes. Buffalo only had it 20. Kelly, I don't think even had a touchdown. Thurman Thomas had a big game, but it wasn't enough. The Giants prevailed and won the game 20-19. Super Bowl 25 is number 10 on my list.
I've only watched the highlights, to be honest with you, but I know the infamous kick. So
it's worth going back and watching just to see what a dog Thurman Thomas was, dude. He was on a mission that game. Number 9, Super Bowl 38. The most underrated Super Bowl of all time. You're not going to see on a lot of people's top 10 lists. It's usually going to be like 12 to 15. The first Super Bowl I can remember watching with my granddad, the New England Patriots defeated the Carolina Panthers 32-29. The most underrated Super Bowl to date. Tom Brady and Jake Delhomme both threw for over 300 yards. But with 1 minute and 8 seconds left, Tom Brady led a 37-yard drive where Adam Vinatieri hit a 41-yard field goal to give Brady and Belichick their second ring. The dynasty was officially born in Super Bowl 38. Incredible football game. Number 8, Super Bowl 23. The San Francisco 49ers defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 20-16. One thing that kept this one lower, it could have been higher in the list, but when watching the game, it was obvious that Boomer Esiason wasn't going to be able to compete with Joe Montana. He just couldn't do anything, but his defense did a good job, and Cincinnati Bengals kick returner Stanford Jennings returned a kickoff for 93 yards for a touchdown. It gave the Bengals life, and they were fighting, but in the end, my favorite quarterback of all time, Joe Montana. Jerry Rice.
I knew that Joe Montana, one of his Super Bowls, was going to make it in your top 10.
It's got to be. Almost multiple, but I had to pick this one because in the end of the game, 3 minutes left in the game, Montana goes 92 yards. After they had been stopped most of the game. I mean, it was a tight game. The final score was 20-16. So, I mean, the defenses were stepping up, and when he had to do it, Montana in the huddle before it goes, "Hey, is that John Candy in the stands? Oh, cool." And then goes 92 yards to win the Super Bowl. It was unbelievable, an incredible game, an incredible final drive. It gave Montana his 3rd Super Bowl ring, and it allowed head coach Bill Walsh to find the runway and ride off into the sunset. Incredible Super Bowl, the 49ers beating the Bengals. Number 7, Super Bowl 56. A recent one that I saw on a lot of people's list. I didn't think it was going to make mine. I wasn't going to go back and rewatch this one because it was so fresh. But it was on everybody's list, and I was like, well, shit, I guess I need to rewatch it. Okay, it made my list. Number 7, the Rams defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. Matt Stafford was looking for glory after all those years wasted in Detroit, and he finally got his moment to shine, but he'd have to go through the new kid, Joe Burrow, who vanquished Patrick Mahomes the week before in the AFC Championship game that you and I attended. Burrow and the Bengals, they weren't going to be denied. They weren't going to go down without a fight. But ultimately, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, they drove 79 yards to take the lead. Burrow got a chance. He got the ball back with 1:25 remaining, but Aaron Donald got pressure on fourth down, forced an incompletion to ice the game. Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, they got their Super Bowl ring, and the Rams won Super Bowl 56. Great game.
I remember that drive, man. And that drive, I was like, man, Stafford and Kupp, there's just nothing that can stop him right now. And once that touchdown happened to Kupp late in the fourth quarter, I was like, I know Burrow's going to get it back, but just the way that Donald stepped up, it was kind of a phenomenal game. I'm glad it made your top 10. I haven't really seen it in too many people's top 10s, but this definitely is deserving of that spot.
Right, and it was back and forth. That's the thing. And Cincinnati had the lead a lot of the second half, but I love what you said there. Even after the drive, Matt Stafford's drive to win the game, with you think, oh, Burrow's getting the ball. He's got plenty of time left. You knew Aaron Donald had wanted that moment. You knew Aaron Donald was going to step up. I remember watching it and being like, this is Donald's time. That's exactly what he did. And the Rams won the Super Bowl. They went all in for it. It paid off. Number 6, Super Bowl 52. This is going to be one of the controversial ones because most people have this one, top 2 or 3.
Is this the Nick Foles?
This is the Nick Foles Super Bowl. Philadelphia defeating Tom Brady and the Patriots. Here's what keeps this game from being higher to me, though. It's the lack of defense, okay? It is just straight offensive shootout. Score, 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 score. Really fun to watch, but being a defensive guy, I like for it to be difficult. I like for, there to be a lot of stops. I like the offense to have to work for it. The defenses didn't show up this game. Infamously, Belichick's decision to bench Malcolm Butler this game, the hero of a previous Super Bowl, which we will talk about, people still don't understand what happened. So that keeps it from cracking my top 5, but it is at number 6, Super Bowl 52. Nick Foles delivered a historic performance, including the iconic Philly special. The Eagles defeated the Patriots, Ryan, despite Brady throwing for 505 yards.
This is actually one of my favorite Super Bowls, maybe in my top 5, because I'm guilty of liking a Cinderella type story.
Right.
And having Nick Foles with the Philly special, like you just can't write it better than that. Even though a lot of people think that the NFL is scripted, I don't think it is. And this is one of those games where I think it kind of proves that, like, how much more perfect could you ask for, right, if you're a Philly fan?
Right, so especially because Carson Wentz went down the last week of the season. He was the MVP candidate.
Everybody thought that Philly was out.
Season's over.
But Nick Foles said, nope, I'm going to pull that Philly special. I'm going to do something special in Philadelphia. We're tearing up the town and bringing down the lamppost tonight, baby. We are winning the Super Bowl. And that's what he did. So,
if you'd have told anyone, if anyone would have heard before that game, hey, Brady's going to throw for 505 yards, we would have said, oh, God, it's a blowout.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was a close game. And Brady got the ball at the end of the game, but the Philly defense stood up when it mattered most. Great Super Bowl, not quite top 5, just for me personally. Okay.
This next one you're about to talk about, oh, baby.
This one could have been higher, man. First time I had ever seen this Super Bowl. Again, I'd seen the highlights. I hadn't watched the full game. When I say riveted from start to finish, I genuinely mean it. Number 5, Super Bowl 32, 2 heavyweights, John Elway and Brett Favre going to war.
Maybe the best quarterback matchup of any Super Bowl I've maybe ever watched.
Definitely to live up to the hype. There was Marino versus Montana. That one ended up being a blowout and a dud. But this one was not a dud. It was everything you wanted from a Super Bowl matchup. John Elway still looking to get his. The Packers were looking to go back-to-back. And despite a really impressive performance from Favre, the Denver Broncos were just too much to overcome. Elway had a relatively quiet game, but his running back Terrell Davis ran for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns. There were turnovers. It was a back-and-forth battle, 2 quarterback legends and Hall of Famers, and ultimately the Broncos won 31-24. Elway finally got his Lombardi in Super Bowl 32. Hell of a game.
Do you miss Brett Favre? Because I miss him.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I miss him a lot. The gunslinger, man. I miss him so bad.
Especially early in that game. It's easy to forget. And that's why Patrick Mahomes' comp early in his career was Brett Favre, because he's going to make some plays that just leave your jaw on the floor. And then he's going to throw some interceptions that make you go, what the hell were you doing? But you lived with it because he was the gunslinger. So fun to watch him play. Number 4, Not because I'm biased, but genuinely, it was a great game. Most people, I looked to see if I was overvaluing it. No, it was on a lot of people's top 5 or 6. Number 4, last year, Super Bowl 57, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35, an epic game with 2 quarterbacks going at it. Jalen Hurts played what is still to this day, the best game of his career, but a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown by Nick Bolton really ended up being the difference. Patrick Mahomes re-injured his ankle before halftime, but being on one leg wasn't going to stop him from earning his 2nd Super Bowl and his 2nd Super Bowl MVP. That scramble into the field goal range for glory, incredible football game. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs outlasted the Eagles. Harrison Butker with the game-winning field goal.
So watching this back, it was during they were filming quarterback for Netflix, you remember?
Uh-huh.
And watching this back and just watching kind of what Mahomes went through on the sidelines with the ankle it was just amazing to see the fight and the dog in Patrick Mahomes. I've always liked Patrick Mahomes, but it wasn't until that show and I saw kind of the behind the scenes situations of what was going on and just his dedication to the game. This is definitely one of my favorite Super Bowls. And I'm not even a Kansas City fan, but right. I just remember watching that in disbelief. Like, how is he still playing? And most people would say he shouldn't have.
Exactly. And there's so many big moments in the game. The deep pass to Devontae Smith, the Kadarius Toney punt return that really broke the game wide open, the Mahomes scramble, the Jalen Hurts fumble. I mean, it was just every single play was riveting from start to finish.
You were on the edge of your seat the entire game.
That's exactly right. It was an edge of your seat Super Bowl. We say the reason we love the Super Bowl, the reason we love this sport, this is where legends are made. You feel it on Super Bowl day. It's where legacies are born. Mahomes was not going to be denied that game after losing the Super Bowl to Tom Brady and the Bucs. What he fought through to win that game was incredible. I think that is still to this day Mahomes' best performance of his career. Not on the stat sheet, but you watch the game and what he was dealing with. How can you put anything above that performance? Number 3, Super Bowl 43. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Arizona Cardinals 27-23. The infamous Super Bowl that featured James Harrison running a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown right before halftime to put the Steelers up 17-7. A 14-point swing because the Arizona Cardinals are at the goal line. They're about to have 7, and instead it's 7 the other way. James Harrison, that run back. I mean, guys, I know everyone watching this video knows it well. Go back and watch it again. He weaves, he dodges, he stumbles, and he keeps his feet up 100 yards. When he scored, he fell down and collapsed because he just couldn't even get up. He laid on the ground for 5 or 10 minutes because he was exhausted. Despite that, though, Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, and the Cardinals, they came back and they took the lead late in the fourth quarter. But it would all be undone by an incredible Big Ben game-winning drive capped off with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes, who toe-tapped his way into Super Bowl immortality. Super Bowl 43 is the 3rd best of all time. Now we get into the 2 best. What I have at number 2, most people are going to have at number 1. But again, I don't have it at number 1 because the whole game was not as good as what I have at number 1. Number 2 for me, Super Bowl 51, the comeback. That's all you got to say. Tom Brady and the Patriots trailed the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 late in the 3rd quarter before rallying and taking us to our only overtime in Super Bowl history. The Patriots won it 34-28, and Brady got his 5th ring, surpassing Joe Montana.
Your favorite quarterback.
My favorite of all time.
This
Brady
comeback, wow. I've watched it several times, just the clip together comeback version.
Mm-hmm.
It's miraculous. I mean, that's the only word I can really think of. It's beyond what human beings in the NFL should be able to do. The way Tom Brady willed that team back, it was just insane. The way the defense shut down the Falcons in the 3rd quarter, right?
Yeah, late in the 3rd quarter is when about 8 minutes left in the 3rd is when the comeback began.
Everybody woke up and said, "No, we're not losing today."
It really started with Dante Hightower coming in unblocked on a blitz and sacking Matt Ryan, and boom, there was life, and they believed. And I gotta say, Kyle Shanahan blew it, man. I mean, if you go back and watch it, Atlanta would have been better off just running the ball every play and killing 40 seconds. They could have won the football game. Kyle Shanahan got cute, started throwing the ball. There was a point in the game where the Falcons are in field goal range. All they have to do is kick a field goal. They're going to win the game. Matt Ryan goes back, sacked. Matt Ryan goes back, holding call. Matt Ryan goes back, sacked. I mean, they just blew the game. Tom Brady and the Patriots came back, and the Falcons shot themselves in the foot. I have friends who are Falcons fans because we live in Alabama. I'll never forget the elation I was getting from a couple friends that night, and then just silence on the other end of the phone because no one could believe what they were seeing. And this is, to me, the undisputed. It wasn't even close. Number one, the best Super Bowl of all time, in my opinion, Super Bowl 49. The New England Patriots defeated the Seattle Seahawks 28-24. Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, and the Legion of Boom were looking to repeat as champions. One little problem, though, they had to get through the GOAT to do it. This game was electric from start to finish. With time winding down, Russell Wilson found Jermaine Kearse, who tipped the ball to himself and caught it while laying on his back. The Patriots couldn't believe it. It was going to happen to them again. Another David Tyree-like catch. But infamously, the Seahawks decided to throw the ball from the goal line instead of handing it to Marshawn Lynch. Out of nowhere comes Malcolm Butler to cement his name in immortality for the game-winning interception to keep the Patriots dynasty alive. It should have been a Marshawn Lynch handoff. Instead, it was a Malcolm Butler interception that goes into the book. Super Bowl 49 is the greatest of all time.
Have you heard Lynch talk about like that play?
Yes. He said he laughed in Pete Carroll's face.
Yeah, he sure did. Because the call wasn't to him in the huddle. And he was like, are you joking right now?
Best short yardage back in the league.
And everybody knew it was a bad call. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I think he even said Russ knew it was a bad call.
I'm sure.
And then it was obviously the worst play call in Super Bowl history, I would
Without
imagine.
a doubt.
And it's funny that it's still like your best Super Bowl of all time.
Looking back on it, I don't think the decision to throw it is that egregious because they had a timeout. It was first down. I understand the perspective of, hey, we want to make sure we get 4 shots at it, okay? Because we only got one timeout. If we run it, we have to call a timeout. So I understand the decision to throw it at some point. However, in my opinion, I would have ran it on first down, and then if we get stuffed, call a timeout. Maybe we throw it on, second and third and then run it on fourth. I think the decision to pass on first down is what made it so even worse than it should have been.
If I'm not mistaken, Lynch had a really good drive all the way down to the red zone.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Yeah, he was pretty electric that game. So yeah. I don't see why you don't just ride your back into that red zone when you had time to do it.
From like the 1 or 2. That's what's crazy. And you're going to try to run a rub route, and Malcolm Butler, dude, he had obviously seen it on tape. He just jumped it. He knew exactly where it was coming, and he picked the ball off. It was over. I love doing this. That's my top 10 list. Guys, make sure you leave your top 10 in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it.